Hi everyone, my name is Jean and this is my Art Enrichment series session 1. I've had the good fortune of traveling the world extensively and visiting some of the most mesmerizing galleries and museums around the globe. I believe everyone deserves great art on their walls, and it is my passion and my privilege to share with you some of the scintillating snippets that I've collected over many years of looking at art, making art, and dealing in art. So let's begin with session 1, the Art of Impressionism. Impressionism was a movement or style that came to life in the mid-19th century, around 1865. It forever changed the way that we look at art and perceive art. Gone are the days where art is for a select few and done in a particular way. Now, before we jump in, I recommend looking at the name first. Impressionism. What does this tell us? Immediately, we can imagine that the artists were much more concerned with the impression of a particular scene rather than the documentation of a photorealistic version of what they're seeing. Impressionism broke all the rules of the French Academy of Fine Art. Instead of painting the stylized, structured compositions that was famous up until that point, they painted light. There are two very important inventions of the mid-19th century that aided the blossoming of this momentous art movement. Number 1, photography. Imagine the predicament artists found themselves in. Up to this point, you'd go to a painter to paint a portrait of a loved one, or of yourself, or the king, or a historically significant scene. All of a sudden, there's a handheld device that does a much better job at documenting a scene accurately: the camera. So, instead of going out and finding a new career path like many artists did, some artists decided to take guidance from the science of photography and establish some funky new techniques. You're looking at the spellbinding painting called Impression Sunrise, painted in 1872 by Claude Monet. Rather than take a snapshot of the moment, the Impressionists, such as Claude Monet, directed focus more on the sensations of light and the vibrations of color. This is his sensory response to a harbor at dawn. Impression Sunrise was what gave this movement its name. The second invention was that of ready-mixed oil paints in tin tubes. Renoir himself said, "Without tubes of paint, there would have been no Impressionism." Prior to this point in history, artists had no way of conveniently carrying their oil and pigment mixes, except for the pig's bladders that was used. Gross. Look at this work by Pierre-Auguste Renoir from 1883. The paint tubes allowed him to go out onto these rolling hills on a trip to England, and he had with him his fold-up easel, his brushes, some stretch linen, and a multitude of colors. He painted all these glorious colors together, right there on the spot. By the way, this performance of going out into the field outside and painting is called en plein, and it's just as popular today as it was back then. The Impressionists had a couple of marked similarities: short brushstrokes of pure color right next to each other. This was called the broken color technique, and it creates a sort of patchwork appearance that gives the visual effect of light being draped over a subject or a scene or a figure. Look again at the color of the water and the sky. How many colors can you count in the dancing brushstrokes of these hills? This is Monet's Madame Monet and her son. Look at how windy it must have been that day. Without these loose brushstrokes, how else could the painter have conveyed this experience? A fleeting moment captured. You can hardly imagine it now, but initially the Impressionist works were not well received at all. The critics and the public agreed that the Impressionists were radical, their art looked sketchy and unfinished, and their colours were vulgar. Look at the tremendous skill in brushwork Renoir displays here, energetic and vibrant. Yet, some critic likened it to the green and purplish blotches of a decomposing corpse. Ooh. The French Academy of Fine Arts held annually the most important art event, the Salon de Paris. In 1863, however, a large number of artists were prohibited to exhibit their work at the Salon. This caused an outrage, and as a result, the Salon des Refusés were formed, the refused artists. This was a rebellion exhibition, including names such as Cézanne and Pissarro and Manet. As gentle and as subtle as an Impressionist artwork may seem, we have to remember that at the time this was a radical departure from tradition. And just look at us now. Go to any art museum around the world with some Impressionist works on exhibition, and guess where you'll find the masses. We are now completely in love with these works. So, in 150 years, we've gone from being absolutely disgusted by a new technique or painting style to now being completely enthralled by it. I mean, we print Impressionist artworks on chocolate boxes and we build puzzles of Monet and Renoir's artworks. It makes you wonder, what are we currently opposed to that we might be absolutely mesmerized by in the next 150 years? What do you think? This is my curated selection of works by noteworthy modern, local and living painters. It might be more than 150 years later, but these young painters employ either swift brushstrokes and/or the reflective, transparent and interactive qualities of light, just like their Impressionist predecessors. Look at this large and lush painting by Alexia Vogel called Jungle Glow 2. She's created an impression of a forest just after the rains, fertile and bountiful, vibrant. Is it a real place? I don't know, but I wouldn't mind getting lost in there daily if this was to hang on my wall. Now look at these swift brushstrokes by emerging painter Swain Wiggevorst. What draws me to them is their irreverence to all the chaos of life. They're about the lightness of being to me, their subject matter, water, a flowing and familiar theme. Now experience this creation by the celebrated artist Rosie Mudge. She uses automative paint and glitter glue on canvas to construct these simple yet dazzling encounters. A misty morning, perhaps? When you stand in front of one of her works, it's like you're a moth drawn to a glistening flame, and it transports you to a fleeting paradise in your mind. Priceless? I think so. Which one is your favorite, and why? By adding artworks like these to your spaces, you create moments like these. You're welcome to head on over to my website to request more information on collecting these works. www.hugomodern.com. I'll leave you with a Renoir painting I found whilst compiling this session for you. It's of the actress Jeanne Samaret. Isn't she magnificent? This painting makes me want to meet her. I wish she was still alive. Well, thanks to Impressionism, Renoir managed to capture her essence and her spirit. Her light will forever be preserved. I believe that art is a human indulgence, and the goodness of it belongs to all of us. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of my passion with you, the art of Impressionism. What do you think we should cover next? Cubism? Expressionism? Pop art maybe? I'm open to suggestions. Thank you for listening. We'll speak soon. Stay safe, stay stimulated. Mwah. Bye!